All right. This is a good way to review if you record a little bit of the charts or the tools that you use, whatever tools that you use, and why these tools are going to be a lot easier to read the market in real time. But also, when you go back to review, it's like if you go back to review and you know already that this was a high, all right, high of the day or swing high or whatever, go back using the tools that you use and say, is there something that I could have spotted that I almost see every time when a high is a high with the tools that you use? Something that will make it not hindsight's 2020. What we use is when big buyers come in and the market can't go up, or when too many longs get in, or a combination. All right. Now, what you see here is we know that when you go back to review, you know this, that there's a big offer for us. We know that this is a big offer up here of someone trying to get out of a long. So there's going to be a little resistance. Here's another thing that you should know in real time. A big 100 lot that came in, it's not the fact that he came in, and it's not the fact of what price he came in, or it's the relationship between how price reacted to that big order. Conventional wisdom is going to say buyers buy it, sellers sell it. BS. What's the dance between price and the order? If you're watching two people dance and you're trying to read how they're doing, and you know a thing or two about dancing, if he drops the girl, they're probably not doing too well. This is the market dropping the girl on the dance floor. Price reacted in a bad way to what it should have. It didn't do what it should do. Boom, it came off. Are you going to predict 10 points lower? No, but you got to predict the first 2 points before you predict the next 2 points and the next 2 and the next 10. Get good and get good at reviewing. What do you see that's consistent when there's a high, when there's always a high? Is it always a big buy order that comes in? No, not all the time. But when it does come in and reject that quick, you really got to quickly scratch your head that the market's still bullish, that the market still could go up. All right. So then you fast forward a little bit. When we see longs get in the market like this, that's another bearish clue that the high might be in before it comes all the way off. Before it comes all the way off. Now, these are the tools we use. All right. Here's another interesting thing. As the market's going down, you see the green light up. When we see that, it's hard for the market to re-rally. So if you're going to try to pick a retracement and buy it on this pullback, you got to be careful of how much you're going to look for on the upside because of all these longs that are stuck. Pretend like you bought it anywhere in here and you immediately took heat. What do you turn into? A seller, and you're trying to sell it where you bought it. Well, if that's the case for most of the rest of the market, there's a lot of people trying to sell it where they bought it. And if too many people are trying to sell it where they bought it, it's hard to go back up. You got to use common sense. It's not common, especially in this business. So it comes to the VWAP, has a beautiful like qualifier of a bunch of shorts coming in. Boom, right there. And a big seller. Big seller, market should go down. Not only did it not, it quickly rejected it right in there. A lot of shorts quickly rejected it. However, too many longs has to make you think, I got to be careful looking for too much on the upside. The fact that it comes down, it's readable. So 2 things in this highlight. If you're not reading the real time well, which most people don't, you got to get better at that no matter what your time horizon is. If you want to trade short time frame or swing trade in more of a 2-3 hour trader, great. You still got to read the real time. You still got to get in the weeds and pick good locations, because no matter what your time frame is, you still got to get in the market and out of the market in real time. So get better at reading the real time. And where people get stuck are going to highlight your better locations. What's the definition of a good location? How quickly the market goes your way. Does it go your way right away? That's an awesome location. Does it give you a minimum amount of heat? That's a better location. What's the definition of a worse location? A terrible location. You buy it to get long, bam. You immediately got 4 or 5 ticks of heat. Because you sit back and like, man, if I just didn't buy it there and waited a few seconds, I could have got a better price. And so you got to know the definition of good location. And then you got to get better at reading the real time to qualify or disqualify what might be a good versus bad location. And if you don't know the idea of too many longs, too many shorts, well, then you got to think about another career path. You got to know that first. You got to know what moves price, and you got to have the You got to get out of yourself of, ooh, what does he know? When you go on the internet and search YouTube videos and people who tweet all the time, if you don't know why, you'll never be able to create the skill. And these tools are the why price does what it does. When you go back to review and you know there's a high that there's a high, if your tools aren't giving you any kind of consistency of what you see that's very similar every time there's a high or a low, then you're using crappy tools that are irrelevant. People use tools that are random and therefore their predictions are random. If the market and your skills seem random, you're never going to get consistent. Part of being good, part of knowing you have a skill is you strip that randomness out. You know that if you cut the tree this way and that way, it's going to fall this way at a certain time. And that's the difference between someone who could chop down trees and someone who has trees fall on houses. Cannot be random. Never 100%. It's a probability. What tools are you using? And then how could you go back to review to see if you indeed stripped out that randomness?